I think we can all remember our first memories on the World Wide Web. When I was a kid, going on our family computer felt like a gateway to another world. There was a new adventure to be had every single day. The amount of information I could find there, the people that I met, and the things I created there, it all felt so magical to me, and I'm extremely nostalgic towards it. The early days of the internet are just so fascinating to me. Today I want to talk about a very personal website to me, Hyves. I'm not exaggerating when I say Hyves changed the course of my life. It caused so many domino effects that it's impossible to say how much it did exactly, but let's just say I wouldn't be here as an artist today. Hyves was a social media website that ran from 2004 to 2013. It cannot be understated just how popular Hyves was in the Netherlands. Unless you lived under a rock, everyone around you had a Hyves account. In 2010 there were over 10 million members. And for some context, the Netherlands only inhabits about 17 million people. Of course there were a lot of people with multiple accounts, but even taking that into consideration, I think it's an insane amount. In this video I want to talk about what Hyves was like. I want to share funny things I personally did on the website, but I also want to talk about stuff that I didn't necessarily have anything to do with. Hyves had so much to offer that I feel like there are a huge amount of things that I could talk about, but I want to try and pinpoint a few specific topics that I think might be fun to go over. But before we continue, I want to go over a few Hyves words and what do they mean. Krabbel. A krabbel was basically a message that you would send to someone and it would appear on their website. Porren. There was a special button for poking people. This gave them a message that you had poked them. Hive. On Hyves you could create your own groups that people could join, and these were called a hive. Buzzer. You could give someone a buzz when you chatted privately with them. This would cause their chat box to buzz around and make loud noises. If used too much, it could also literally freeze your computer. Pimpen. Similar to other sites from this era, it was possible to pimp your Hyves page to your liking. This basically meant to choose your own background or colors on your page. You could even pick a song that would play when people visited your page. With these explanations out of the way, let's continue to how I even knew about Hyves in the first place. I heard about Hyves in early 2009 from my niece. She showed me her Hyves page and I was so amazed. The idea that you could have your own page on the internet, completely dedicated to you, it felt like witchcraft to me. It didn't take long for me to also get a Hyves account, and I specifically remember having a profile picture of Bowser Jr. At first my Hyves name was simply my real name, but over time I decided to change that into the name Bowser Jr. You see, he was my favorite character ever back then, and I guess you could say he was one of my first kinnies. Without realizing, I began to roleplay as Bowser Jr., and while doing that I gained the attention of other roleplayers who wanted to engage with me. I had officially found my way into the nerdy side of Hyves, and from here on out things would only escalate. It was also around this time that I got my Kirby hyperfixation. Without having any idea what an OC even was, I drew an original Kirby character that I named Nighty Starn. My love for Kirby and Hyves eventually overlapped as I became known online as Nighty Starn. Other people began to see Nighty Starn and they too wanted to create their own Kirby OC. We became known as the Puffball community and we would only grow bigger over time. I met so many of my friends here, some of which I still talk today. Not to mention it broadened my artistic horizon as well. Everyone shared their art and fanfics on Hyves, no matter how good or bad it was. And we all supported each other's creations. It was a huge motivation boost. Everyone knew each other and it was a really tight community. Even if you didn't have a Kirby OC, if you liked video games or cartoons, you were welcomed. This specific community genuinely changed the course of my life, as I would never have pursued art without it. A lot of my friends here also introduced me to things like One Piece and Star Fox, and more of my favorite franchises. Please take a good look at this image and let me tell you the context. Back on Hyves, it was an often occurring thing that people would leave Hyves and be all dramatic about it. They said their goodbyes to all their friends, only to come back a week later. Well, I was like that too. I had built up this entire Puffball community and was friends with everyone in it. So when I had the amazing idea to quote-unquote leave Hyves, I figured it would be wonderful to give my friends a farewell gift. And so I began to think, what would be the best gift to them? Well, art of everyone together, of course, yeah! But I wasn't that good at drawing humans, so I instead opted for a DeviantArt base. I found the best one that I could find and I began to work on it, thinking this would be the peak of art. I really thought that what I was doing was amazing and that I would surprise each and every one of my friends. And well, yeah, this is what I made. When my friends commented asking why everyone was bald, I seriously didn't understand them. Our puffball OCs didn't have any hair either, so why would I draw the human forms with hair? My child brain simply couldn't fathom their questions. I still look at this image every now and then and laugh out loud. It's become an inside joke in my friend circle and I just love it. My favorite details about this are how everyone is literally just wearing a t-shirt with their corresponding Kirby color. And this guy just has a small patch of hair on his forehead. I also love the red one. He literally has no features aside from wearing a red shirt. 11-year-old Starny was simply built different. And of course I returned like a week later to Hyves. Okay, so when Michael Jackson passed away in 2010, the entire world was in shock. Even Hyves was. Suddenly there was this huge outburst of Michael Jackson fans everywhere. Along with them was my childhood best friend who became obsessed with him. She shared all the Michael Jackson lore with me. So we would all like to be with our biggest idols, right? So then you wouldn't be surprised knowing there was an entire Hyves page dedicated to Michael Jackson fans trying to Photoshop themselves with him. Of course, with Photoshop I mean them using paint, which obviously looked terrible. It was laughable, but wholesome nonetheless. My childhood friend introduced me to this Hyve and showed me her own Photoshop of her and Michael Jackson. I obviously don't have the original image anywhere, but here's my recreation of what it looked like. She was so proud of it that she decided to present it in front of our class, and I remember everyone being genuinely impressed with her skills. Of course, this is all really cute and harmless, but the idea of this Hyves page existing, mostly full of middle-aged women, and my friend showing her Photoshop to our class like it was some kind of masterpiece, I think it's hilarious and it really shows the time that we lived in. The new Uri Geller, or as it was called in the Netherlands, the Nieuwe Uri Geller, was a talent show in which mentalists showed their psychic skills in order to become the new Uri Geller. This show was very popular in the Netherlands and it spanned over 3 seasons, and it would often be the talk of the day when it aired. It was also fairly popular on Hyves, spawning multiple fan groups, each for their favorite candidates. Vincent the Vampire was especially big on Hyves, gaining a following that still kind of exists to this day, albeit very small. The reason I want to talk about this is because I was very active in this community myself. I had an obsession with this show, and specifically one of its candidates named the Joker. The Joker appeared in season 3 of the show and was actually the winner that season. A few days after he won the show, his phone number got leaked in a Joker Hyves fan group that I was a part of. Of course, obsessed as I was, I immediately called the number to see if it was real, and it was real. He simply said, "Hello," and I was shaking. I responded, "Hello, is this the Joker?" He sighed and hung up on me, obviously annoyed. I immediately called back, but was greeted by his voicemail. I think my call was probably what broke the camel's back. There is a lot more to talk about with the new Uri Geller, but I will delve into that in a future video. Our then Prime Minister Jan-Peter Balkenende had a Hyves account, just as many other politicians did in this time. And according to this article and video that I found, he was battling DJ Koen van Huigenvoort to see who could have the most Hyves friends.
Het zal niet zo lang meer duren, maar als straks Hyves weer gebruikt kan worden, dan kunnen jullie nog snel naar mijn website. Want jullie weten, er is een stevige strijd aan de gang tussen Koen van Huigenvoort en mij.
This is such an odd event to me, a prime minister battling a DJ on the amount of friends they had on Hyves of all. Balkenende's profile was public, so I was able to look into all his old posts, which was a really fun time capsule. So about the battle these two had, I went to look in the Wayback Machine and the earliest result I could find for Balkenende's profile was in June of 2006, with him having about 17k friends. The latest result I could find for his Hyves is in September of 2007, where he had 64k friends. Meanwhile, Koen van Huigenvoort seemed to get stuck around 50k friends, which is still a respectable amount, but I guess you could say that Balkenende won this battle. We've all seen those fake Pokemon cards, right? Some of them are funny or edgy or kinda lame, but I think the concept of making a fake Pokemon card can be really fun. Young me suddenly got the idea of doing fake Pokemon card requests. I made a special Hyve where people could send me a cobble in which they would specify what they wanted on the card. And I would then in return make the fake card for them on one of those online card makers. I didn't ask for anything in return, I just thought it was fun to do. So this very quickly grew huge. To clarify, I'm genuinely not sure if I'm the one who started this hype, but ever since I started making these cards, they suddenly started appearing everywhere on Hyves. I remember seeing similar Hyves pages like mine where people would create fake cards for other people. And I think that over time people began to realize that making the cards themselves was actually really easy, so the dedicated Hyves pages slowly vanished. But the Pokemon card hype itself kept going strong for a really long time. And every day I saw multiple people with their fake cards as their profile picture. So anyone could make a Hyves page about whatever they wanted, and this resulted in a few very strange ones. Of course, we've already talked about the Photoshop yourself with Michael Jackson Hyve, but here are some more of my favorites. Nintendo, you're going the wrong way. I steal pencils at IKEA. The Puffball Deathmatch. Pimp That Hyves. The I seem to look angry Hyve. I always lose my stuff. You may think that these are just small groups with little to no interaction, but no. A lot of these actually had thousands of members, which is just so funny to me. Like, these are also specific. What did you guys even talk about? Man bij het Hond was a Dutch television program. It had a large focus on human stories with a satirical edge, but despite that, it usually kept a positive approach to the people in question. When it became known that Hyves would shut down in 2013, Man bij het Hond visited an older woman who was a Hyves fanatic. This is Antje. Hyves was everything to her. She made lots of friends there and it was her creative outlet. When she heard the news of Hyves shutting down, she reportedly cried. The Man bij het Hond interview with Antje is a mixture of wholesome and satirical humor. While the topic is a bit silly, you can notice that they do take her somewhat seriously. At the end of the video, they surprise her with the sudden visit of her Hyves friends, which clearly means a lot to her. A few years later, Man bij het Hond actually returned to Antje to see how she was doing. She had migrated to Facebook, but she still missed Hyves a lot. Despite that, she still seemed to be having fun on Facebook. After some research, I can confirm that unfortunately Antje passed away in August of 2021. To me, she will be remembered as a lovely lady with a passion for Hyves. With the rise of Facebook came the downfall of Hyves. It was in August of 2011 when Facebook had more unique visitors than Hyves for the very first time, and this would only increase over time. Whereas Facebook could be used worldwide by everyone, Hyves was specifically targeted to people in the Netherlands, and I think this is what caused its loss of popularity. Personally, I think Hyves was a lot cooler than Facebook. You could pimp your own page you're liking, and that made everyone's page so much more unique and original. For example, my Hyves pages were often yellow and red, which were my favorite colors. But in the end, Facebook became the mainstream option, and it was decided that Hyves as a social media site would cease to exist. In December of 2013, it became known as Hyves Games, simply focusing on the games that Hyves offered. Before Hyves closed down, they did offer people to download their page's content, such as their cobbles, photos and other info. But a lot of people didn't know about this, including me. I'm just glad that a lot of pages are still on the Wayback Machine, else we would have lost so much information and this video would have been a lot harder to make. I think Hyves, in its core, was an extremely creative website. It gave people the chance to be themselves, share with the world who they were and what they created. Whether you were a kid role-playing as your favorite character, or you were a middle-aged person just wanting to simply pimp your Hyves with glittery gifts, there was something for everyone. And it was a creative outlet for so many people, including me. I recently made a Google survey about Hyves and I was positively surprised by the answers. Everyone who participated knew what Hyves was and used to be active on it. In fact, over 60% of them said that they made friends on Hyves that they still talk to this day. I find that to be incredible. The downfall of Hyves is a huge loss to the history of the internet. For years it was a staple in the Netherlands to have a Hyves page and many people could not imagine their lives without it. Hyves had so much to offer that it's impossible to talk about everything, but I really hope this video gave you an insight into what Hyves was like. There is truly no other site like it, and I think that's why people still miss it so much. Even with how much I packed into this video, I still feel like I haven't shared enough about it. That's just how big it was. For me, Hyves literally changed my life. It opened a whole new world for me. I met some of my best friends there. I still talk to them and see them regularly, even after 10 years. And I'm just so grateful for that. A website like Hyves does not deserve to be forgotten, and instead needs to be remembered for the amazing things it did. Bringing people together, fueling creativity, and being a gateway to discovery.